Thank you, James.
Yes, yes. It's
Yes.
good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for inviting me to this beautiful forum.
Yes,
Very rare forum where you see men gathered
sure.
to talk about manhood.
Manhood, yes.
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 Yeah.
Wow. Again, I want to welcome you. Steve is a family man. He has very beautiful children. He's also a tech guy. Mr. Munene, when I want to have an issue with the technology, this is a gentleman I got. So, yeah, so he's a tech consultant and he is so much into digital marketing and anything IT related. And so it's so happy to have you today.
Thank you for having me,
So
James.
I want to just, Steve, I don't know, maybe just to ask ourselves a question.
Yes.
What is the major, according to you,
Yes.
what is the major challenge affecting the boy child today?
Wow.
What do you think is the main challenge affecting us as, boy child, the men in general?
Well, according to me, I'm just looking at how we see all these things happening around, and everyone is talking about women and girl empowerment.
Yes, yes.
And really, no one is. I don't know whether it's by design.
Yes.
That there isn't much focus on
man.
Yes. So just to answer your question, just
Yes.
from how I look at it, is I think for me it's just an issue of identity.
Identity.
Yeah, that I can term that as a major challenge that is affecting men.
Okay.
That inability to really capture what being a man means.
Yes.
And that's an issue of identity.
Yes.
Yeah. Because now once that is affected, when that is not clear, then we get to see all these things happening.
Yes.
Men are not able to take, leadership. They're not able to show leadership. They're not able to, be decisive.
Yes, exactly. A very key component.
Which is a very key component.
Yes.
They're not so sure about their, what's their purpose, what's their calling. So for me, I think all those issues emanate from a warped identity, meaning you're not so sure about who you are,
Yes.
Where you're going, and what are some of those things that you need
Yes.
to focus on, or rather the things that just define you as a man.
Yes.
And I feel once that is very clear, that we're able to address so many other issues that are affecting men.
Wow. When we address the issue of identity,
Yes.
understanding who we are as
Who
men.
we are as men.
Yes, men, and understanding our purpose and our calling.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Good.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Steve, I want to invite you to just talk to us about manhood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Where do you begin? Just talk to us.
Oh, yeah. I think I think as men, we start off as boys.
Yeah.
We talk about boys becoming men.
Yes, sure.
And I think we have all sorts of, I think just speaking to the issue of identity, yeah? As a man, there's a lot that we borrow from our environment. There's a lot that we borrow from society or where we came from, and in most cases, by default, that's what defines us, and this can be culture, this can be, the environment that you're brought up in, because that really is what defines your, it defines and crafts your identity, whether consciously or unconsciously, and sort of gives you a definition of who you are, So then it means that if you're not really careful about what you're borrowing, and we speak about beliefs, we speak about values, all those things we drew from our environment. Exactly. by default.
Yes.
And so if you're brought up in a setting where there's let me call it a warped sense of manhood, it's like you become predisposed to that. So there are certain characteristics and behavior that you acquire born out of your environment or your culture. And now these are the things now that we are addressing. Because now it means then you may pick up something, a character trait that according to where you come from, it's something that is accepted. Let's say your identity as a man, as an authoritarian. It's like you say things and people run around. So you spoke about authority.
Yes.
So you can have a wrong sense of authority that is brought about by where you're brought up in. And right there and then that starts. Those are some of the attributes that you pick up, that some of them now, if not crafted well, they start manifesting other things, because you sort of have either a borrowed or an exported identity, or rather you import this identity that now defines you as a man. And for me, I think we have grown to know, for some of us, that manhood we are masculine. It's not about masculinity. All those things that we associate with men, it defines us as men, but that's not the essence of manhood. So for me, manhood is a dimension, is a way of life. So it's not about biceps, it's not about who you are, where you stay, what kind of car you drive, what sort of education you have, because in most cases, those are the things that define men. So we are defined by the things you have or the things you don't have. So for me, I draw inspiration. I'm a Christian.
Yes.
So I draw a lot of principles about manhood from the Bible.
Yes.
And first you're told we are created in His image and His likeness. And we have our first man, who is Adam.
Yes.
Who was supposed to take care and tend this garden. So from there, for me, I can pick attributes of manhood, which is what I can use to define what is correct manhood. And some like I think like 2 years ago, I had the privilege of going through a manhood development or a man development program that really brought, it gave me a correct sight of manhood based on functionality. And if you allow me, I think there were about 5 things that we are able to define as these are the attributes that define correct manhood. And number 1, we are talking about taking initiative. A man takes initiative. A man takes initiative. And you talk about initiatives is ability to do something. As a man, you're required to do something. And we spoke about taking initiative in matters, relationships. As I said, we are nurturers and we are caregivers.
Yes.
So that speaks to relationships. So there's a way we need to handle relationships. And by relationships here, I mean our spouses. Relationships, I mean our families, means our friends and the like. So that's one aspect. And I remember we also talked about matters faith or matters values. Just trying to even demystify. And this is not about religion or anything. What is that is expected of us as men.
Yes.
The ability to relate well. The ability to be defined by certain value sets, and if you're a Christian, then we have our faith. So you must have a belief in something. What is that drives you? And I think for me, the powerful expression of that taking initiative is on the issues of making decisions. We are called to make decisions as leaders, as heads of our homes. So those are things that are encrusted in manhood. Your ability to demonstrate, taking that initiative around these 3 areas. And I remember the second aspect of it was the issue of living responsibly, which still ties to what I've talked about. And here you're talking about you as a man. There's a place and there's a position that you're supposed to take. and to be able to dispense certain functionalities in whichever context you are. As the leader of a home, as a husband, as a father, as a colleague at work, as a boss, So there's an element of responsibility, that you're supposed to, take care of. Just going back to the Bible, Adam was supposed to do something that you're supposed to do. And when you look at that entire story, you can say there's a part where he relaxed, and the enemy was able to speak to someone whom that wasn't supposed to be the case. Yeah, so he delegated that authority to someone else. And well, we all know the story. The other aspect, there were about 5. So there's one about taking initiative, living responsibly, leading sacrificially. Yes. What does that mean? We talked about servant leadership, is for me just speaks about putting others before self. And I think for me, once you've been able to establish and once you've been able to know your true core identity, it starts by that. And now start valuing, other people, and seeing how do I, I'm a leader, I'm a head of a home. So it's not about, headship is not about authority or superiority. It's about leading, it's about guiding. Is that you've been given that role and responsibility to lead, but it doesn't get into your head. And I think that's where we get it all wrong, and we start thumping our chests and start demanding things, but what are we supposed to do? Nurture and take care of. The other aspect I think was loving faithfully. Loving faithfully. I think that's one of the core definitions of loving. Speaks about caring. Speaks about guarding. Speaks about protecting. Speaks about desiring the best for others and creating an environment in which others can be able to thrive, and grow and all that. And the last one, but not least, which was really powerful, I think for me was, as a true man, you're supposed to leave a worthwhile legacy. What are you here for? What do you know? What do you want people to remember you for? What cause do you support? What impact do you have? One, in your family, impact in your community, and the like. What's your purpose in life? And I think for me that has been something that I've been really thinking a lot, because we are what? We have been given the capacity to steward lives. Speaking about, for those that are married, you have your wife here and you have your children. So what is that deposit that you put in them that will last, will transcend you?
Go beyond you.
Yes, will go beyond you. And I think here when I mention names like Mandela, when I mention names like Obama, when I mention names like Kibaki, when I mention names, there's something these people stood for and we know them for. And some that are long gone, but we still see them and hold them as icons because they stood for something. So for you, what is that thing that you're building that will transcend you? Are you just here to exist, and when you're gone, you're forgotten? Or will you leave a lasting impression, first for your family? And that's when now you really start thinking about, what will people say about me? What will people say about me? So I think for me, those 5 things, I think for me, they are key definers of manhood.
Amazing.
They are key definers of manhood. And those give you now the correct picture or the let me call it the authentic identity of who a man is supposed to be and what he's supposed to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Steve, that is so huge.
Yeah.
I like the idea of taking initiative.
Taking initiative, yes.
And I think, I don't know whether it's only me. And actually, if you have a question and you want to contribute to something, we are free to do so. I think the issue of taking initiative, actually, one of the major things that I've noted is people not taking initiative.
Yeah.
They're waiting for a lot of kusukuma, or maybe they have to wait for somebody to tell them to do something.
Yeah.
Rather than noting that this is the issue, there's a problem here, need to solve this. People are not taking initiative. And I think what you said is very, very critical.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you.
And I like the idea of responsibility.
Oh yeah. These things are encrusted in us. I think that this program really blew up my mind, and I was like, what? All these things we were taught, some of us were initiated, those initiation rites you go through, those rites of passage that give you a very warped sense. Of course, they are good things. They're things you can emulate. But they sort of give us a very wrong impression of who a man is. And some of us, when we look at, I'm thankful to God because my family is very liberal, but I've had instances where people talk about how they were brought up and how their home was like, that their dad used to walk in and everyone's campus.
Yes.
And I don't know whether people do those things and they really don't see the impact of that for their children.
Yes.
Someone was telling me, like, for them, I don't know whether it's culture, that the man is served first. And he has to feed, as in he has to eat until he's satisfied. That's when others can eat.
It's the same thing, and let me lead this statement because it's very critical. As a man being the leader or the authority, it's interesting when it says that as an authority, you're not in the equation.
Yeah.
So it means, for example, if you have to buy some food for your family, you have to let your family eat first.
Yeah.
They're satisfied.
Yeah.
Then you come in there.
Yeah. So
this issue of no one eats until the man is served, I think we need to
address some of those
understand
issues.
why it is.
Yeah. And you see now, with such, if that thing is not addressed, this young man grows up knowing that, my time is coming, my time to eat is coming. So it's something that is perpetuated generationally until someone says, no, this is wrong.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem. Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Steve, for that eye-opening discussion and conversation. That manhood is not just the biceps and the physique.
Yeah.
It's more than that. It's ability to make decisions, ability to be responsible, to be able to love everything that
sacrifice,
sacrificially,
legacy. So you don't just exist. When you ask men, what are you up to? What's your goal? What? Those are very critical questions that every man should be able to answer without even blinking an eyelid.
I think we need to define that conversation, especially that area of identity.
Yes, identity.
We are giving away our identity and adopting an identity that is not actually ours. At the end of the day, there's depression. We are not resilient enough because we've allowed our manhood to wither away, and we've adopted a new identity that is not part of us. Wow, amazing. So guys, let's clap for Steve for that amazing conversation.